Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. And then if we click, there we go. All right, brilliant. Well, thanks for everyone that's here already. Yeah, just a detailed introduction from myself, Chris at Oliver Bernard here. And I guess today we've got our latest installment of QA in London. Marcel's going to have a run through of autonomous testing, some discussion on where we're at with that, some of his research into the area, and take you through a bit of a demo. So yeah, I'll pass over to Marcel now. If we can, throughout, just remain on mute, and then there'll be a period of time for about 10-15 minutes at the end where we can all ask questions and sort of engage in some discussion on the topic. So yeah, I'll pass over to you, Marcel.
Thank you. Thank you. So thanks for everyone to joining us today. I just find out as a part of preparation that this is my third attempt on the meetup. So I'm becoming big, often coming speaker to the meetup. And today I would like to talk about something I get excited about last couple of months, and that's autonomous testing. Let me first maybe introduce very quickly myself. I started in testing or quality assurance, if you wish, in 2004. So almost, I'm just very close to 20 years, but still not there yet. And today I would like to talk about several topics or several things, and this is probably the most boring slide, usually talking about the speaker and talking about the agenda. So let me just maybe quickly skip the slide and start with some maybe more interesting kind of story. And it's a real story, but I was trying to a bit anonymize it. What I am often experiencing, and I guess you would now nodding that you agree and you have a similar experience in testing. Let me introduce my ex-colleague, Jacob. He joined us and he decided that he would like to automate his tests, but he started as a junior tester. And after 1 year, once he learned all this JavaScript and Cypress, he decided to left into development. Then let me introduce another colleague. Let's call her Teresa. And she's very clever test automation engineer, but she hates any manual testing. So she fall in love with test automation, but she don't really like to click into some front ends or manually call some APIs via some tools. So we end up automating everything, and all her testing is about scripting and finding the way how she could automate everything. And then let me introduce another colleague, and let's call him Michael. Michael never found his way to start automate. He don't believe that automation could help him, and he do a lot of manual testing, or basically he do only manual testing because he can't learn any technical stuff, and he don't believe that this is the right approach. And this brings a lot of interesting pains. And I was trying to somehow generalize these issues. Sometimes we lack technical skills because testers sometimes are not able to be so advanced in technical skills. And if they do, they are often moving into development. And often it's very difficult to hire, and often it's very difficult to train, or slow to train these non-technical guys or non-technical testers. Even they are experts in their business domains, they are brilliant manual testers. It's not easy to bring them into higher technical skills. Then test automation sometimes doesn't work, and I had a special screenshot there, but I'll be talking later about that. that sometimes people automate so heavily, they miss some bugs, and we are finding them out or finding them in a production. And the third kind of general statement based from the stories, or the general finding based from the real stories, is that sometimes we do too many manual testing, and sometimes this doesn't work because with introducing agile and digital kind of projects, we cannot keep up. We basically cannot keep up with test execution, and even automation is too slow for us in that cases. So these might be general kind of pains or problems, and I believe that you could meet these on your projects as well. So sometimes I would try to even more abstract the statement, make more abstract the statement and say that sometimes testing is just broken. And after so many years in testing, I don't know, 16 or so, I was just searching and thinking about what could be next or how to improve even further, because we start with manual testing in 2004 when I started, but already there in that times we were discussing automation, and on my first interview into testing they asked me, would you be willing to start with some robots to help us to test? And it was, I can't imagine I couldn't imagine on that time how it could look like, but I said it's pretty interesting idea, maybe I could start with that. But this is here already more than 20 years. The test automation and manual testing is there. And let me try to now going into a bit more specific ideas or topics. So if this is a manual testing, let's call the automation or automatic testing, but it could look like this. And you probably know and heard about some autonomy cleaning. You might have this kind of Roomba at home, or you might have some experience meeting similar machines on airports, cleaning up the floor and so on. So this is pretty strange, or maybe not the very professional way of explaining the approach in testing, but I think this is very similar journey we are now facing. And if you feel like this guy might be a stupid, why he's comparing this kind of cleaning activities with testing, it's something completely different. I'll try to bring another slide which might maybe fix the emotions or the feeling from that talk. And let's now move to the slide from a very professional company called Gartner. And they had a very similar slide, maybe a bit more pro. In 2000, I think 2020. In 2020, they said that currently we are in an era of automation, and in the future, we will move into autonomous testing, where our testing will be driven by machine instead of humans. So this was something in 2020. And last couple of years, I was delivering a lot of workshops, presentation, and talks on conferences about future of testing. And 2 years ago, I was here as well. And one of the topic which made me pretty upset was AI and machine learning, because people was talking about AI and machine learning, and this is the component to the autonomy. And this is the thing we should all focus on. But I couldn't find any specific example, because you could read thoroughly the Gartner report, and they are saying in 2025, 1/3 of the organization will have some autonomous testing implemented. But reality, if you now search for that first or early adopters, you will find out that there is almost no such a thing. You will find out that many people or companies discussing whether it will replace testers, and I'm saying no straight away. Even you probably, some guys, you would like to ask the question at the end, because I'm getting such a question often. It won't replace testers, as the test automation didn't replace testers. And that's not the right approach for every problem we have in testing or in IT. This still need to be, or it is complementary approach to existing manual and automation testing. And I believe it'll grow, but we are now at the beginning. And as we are now at the beginning, I felt like, okay, I don't like to talk about some slideware if there is no software or hardware to really touch, try, and work with. So probably this might be opportunity for us to build or experiment something with. And today I would like to show you something more specific, not only slides. And I would like to give you some inspiration how you could build your own first autonomous testing by yourself. And I would like to show you what we built until now and what we are trying to achieve with that journey into autonomous testing, because I would like to be there when these 30% of companies will use it, because I feel like that might be pretty exciting topic in the future, but we are not there yet. So let's start with simple, again, very simple example, like the story I was talking about my friends in testing, and then maybe we could generalize later. Imagine that this is your checkout page. And I take it from Stripe, you might know the payment gateway, and you run your campaign. You invest several thousand dollars or euros into the campaign to bring a lot of potential customers to buy something for $129, and the customers are already decided they would like to fill in this checkout page and they would like to purchase the product you are selling. But you did a lot of thorough manual testing, and at the last moment before the campaign starts, you deployed your solution. Your automated test all pass, and you are getting this kind of front end in front of your all customers coming in and trying to buy the product. But they are a bit scared. They are not sure whether this screen is the proper one, and they are not able to decide whether to fill it in or not. So this kind of bugs you might very easily introduce into your production environment if you don't do any manual testing before the release. And that's not something I was just built for the presentation. I have some testing friends who said we are releasing small changes into production without manual testing. When the pipeline is green, when all the automated tests passed, we could deploy into production without even seeing the screens. So this is something you could easily fix by introducing some visual testing or some other approaches, maybe very quick exploratory manual testing. But if you don't have it there, this might happen. So we thought, okay, this might be a good example where we could apply our first bot, because this is easy to spot, we could easy to find it, and let's try to prototype this as our first autonomous prototype. Then, and this is done, it works, and I'll show you what we built. But if I would like to generalize, what we need to make autonomous is validation and interaction with system under test. And this is my tip for you. If you would like to build a kind of autonomous testing, then you could take any existing tools. I will show you a demo with Visual Regression Tracker, which is open source for free tool. But you could use Applitools or Percy or any other competitors for these companies. And for the validation, it's good enough to build some autonomous validation tool. We decided after many experiments and prototyping that these tools are not good enough for fully autonomous testing platform we decided to build, but this is good enough for simple use cases. And for interaction with the system under test, let's imagine that you could use, I don't know, robot framework with Playwright, which is called browser library. The Playwright itself is called browser library in robot framework. So this is the way how you could build your crawler with some validation at the backend. We went a bit further. We were playing with many experiments and try to apply not only this visual pixel to pixel testing, but we also built some machine learning models to validate the screens and recognize whether there is any fail or whether the page displays proper products. I am not doing any demo of this, but I'll show you some other demos. But digging into more details, we find out that there are two opportunities in autonomous testing. And while I was talking about interaction and validation, we find out by exploring the market that basically there are two options or approaches what you could do. You could build your assistant when you take your existing test cases and try to extend them with some assistance. This might be self-healing test, this might be some test data healing, that might be introducing autonomous visual testing, or you could build completely autonomous testing with some autonomous testing bots. And I would like to demo both. We have first prototype for both. We are building our own. And I feel like this might be good to show you specific examples rather than talking about talking over slides. So let's move to the demos. I'll start, if I would now switch back to the previous slide, I will start with these autonomous bots and then I'll show you assistant. But before that, I hope you can see my Chrome browser. I'll first show you my application I will test. Please stop me if could somebody tell me whether you could see the application, the kind of e-shop?
Yes, it works.
Perfect, thank you. So this is my application I will test. That simple application with three kind of sub pages: the home page, some gallery, some contact page, and then I could sign in. And now I'll try to start some autonomous bot to test it. And now it might be a bit complicated for the guys who are not very technical, but I will try to be slow and explain it properly. So what we did, we built a bot to crawl the application. And this bot is going through the page or pages and try to click to any link or button. So it just basically crawl the app and collect all the screenshots. And it collects screenshots and also build some map of the application. So this is I pre-built some outputs for us. So this is the map. So I click on the home page, or I open the home page, and then I go through the app. If there is no any other link to go further, I stop and I build basically this kind of map. Why I need this map? The reason is that when I run the bot again, it remember by the ID, by this complicated ID, that the page is the one which should be validated. So I have the map, and then I have all the screenshots collected. And let me now run the bot, and then I'll try to finish the explanation. So I run the bot from command line. We are building some nice UI to be able to run it on one click, but let's run it now. And this bot just reads the config file and generate random locators to go through the app. And I told to the bot that I would like to crawl the app and collect all the screenshots. And all the screenshots are now collected into my learning test run, but this was already executed before the demo, so it won't be so probably nice, but basic idea is that I collecting the screenshots with the IDs, and these IDs are built into the graph. So I can see, for instance, this is some 404, which is page was not found. So I would say this is not a good example. I would just reject it. So my test now is set as a fail. And some of the tests are passing, and they are here in OK stage. And the reason for the OK stage is that I already had the baseline from previous learning runs. So these tests were executed, and I could see that tests were passing. But if I would go now back to the front end, I could see that, for instance, this gallery, I have some slow internet, or I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so this gallery, when I click into that again and again, there are various problems which bot will need to overcome. First, that this video is animated, and the pictures are generated always different one. So what's now going on, or what's happening here, is that let me see, this is not the right example, this one. You can see that, for instance, this is, let me find a nicer example. I'm just searching here. You can see that there is a difference between the baseline I collected from the previous run and this run. What I could do to deal with this, we have two options. One is the machine learning we are now currently developing. So I will just several times click on approve and rerun the test again and again. So I let the machine learn, or I could just say, okay, let's ignore this. Then I would save it. And next time, this will be always passing. We prefer to, okay, I have some problem here. Okay, I said, okay, that's the fresh demo, so I'll need to fix that. But I could basically save this and ignore it in a future run. So I hope you got the point, even I have some problems with that. And basically, when I run it again, then all these tests were assessed automatically. So this is autonomous bot where testing or interaction with the application and validation both are autonomous. This will take 20 actions and then it'll stop. So we are on the action 15, so it'll soon stop. So let me now show you the assistant. And for the assistant, we are trying to build the tool in that way that you have existing test cases. And for that, I would show, or I would share with you Playwright tests, where you could see, you can't see it here. Imagine that you have test cases to log into application, and test whether with the correct credentials or incorrect credentials you could log in. Then you could test page gallery and check out. The tests are typical regression tests, which you just execute with Playwright by running some command line. And I set it up for 3 different configurations. So I would like to test it on Safari, Chrome, and Firefox. It's running headless, so you can't see any results here, but you can, or you could see only results, but not the interaction with the application. And now imagine that you would like to use the same logic as I did for the bot and validate my tests. And for that, I am just replacing my existing test runner with our own test runner, and then you could get the same behavior. But these tests are always passing, even the gallery is different, because they are not catching any graphical issues. But in this case, when I'm introducing my assistant, you could see that some screenshots are now getting new baseline. Okay, I don't have a baseline, so I will need to now just first collect the baselines. It should finish soon. So now I have the baseline, so I can see that there is no previous run. I will approve them all. And next time when I'm running the tests, I should get already some specific results. I can see that all the approved are popping up at the end. I'm running all that infrastructure locally. It's a few Docker containers, so it's not so quick as it would be if I would run it in our cloud, but it will soon approve all the tests. I won't wait for that. Let me see how many we need. 9 more, 8 more. It will soon finish, and I will rerun the tests. And if everything will go well, and I hope so that it will go okay. I just rebuilt this demo a few hours ago, so hopefully I didn't make too much mistakes, but it looks like I have all the, okay, these are some new ones. And at the end, yeah, I can see that already some tests are already validated, visually validated. So I could see that login correct worked properly, and there is no visual difference. Why I'm not getting it here? I'm impatient. So this is, for instance, Safari, and I should get the results soon. Okay. Yeah. So if the re-execution looks same, it gives me the same results. So basically, these are our prototypes we are working on to experiment with the autonomous testing. And in future, I believe these are the things how the automation will develop into autonomy. So you will not need to write too much code. You already will reuse your existing automation scripts. And in the future, we will even not automate. We will replace these things with autonomous bots. So what will be next? I was just starting to talk about that, but basically there are 2 ideas we are working on. One is the UI I was showing you. Now we could click on that or interact with that UI by clicking. we are adding more autonomous validation, and we are also introducing form interaction by filling the forms. So you could use it on desktop, web, and mobile application. Currently, our prototypes run on web. Once this is done, we believe that we could build similar bots for autonomous API interaction and validation, and cover SOAP, REST, and GraphQL. So I believe this is something you could start experiment with as well. And I also believe that this is something which will be in the future pretty dominant, as nowadays I feel like automation testing is maybe more adapted, or the amount of automation is higher than manual testing activities. It's slowly grown up. So in the future, I expect that autonomous testing will be the thing. That's why we decided, as I said, build something we called VOPI. That's the tool I try to demo to you. And I believe that we are ready with certain prototype in June. I would say I put it here as a now, but I think May and June, we will be ready to start our early access pilots. Then we will focus during summer for form interaction. And in autumn, we are running a lot of workshops, training, and conferences. And we believe in 2023, the platform will be ready for use. So if you are interested in this topic, I would like to invite you to contribute and cooperate and maybe discuss and explore the idea. Maybe you are building something similar. That's why you joined this call. So if you are interested, let me know, because we are trying to find some partners to work with us. So let me summarize what I was trying to explain and what I was talking about. I think automation assistance, what I was showing as a second demo, it's pretty mature and it could be used nowadays. We already have some prototypes with self-healing. I show you today the test automation assistance with for visual testing, and I think it's ready to be used on real projects. For the business or for the more complex business flows, I believe we are pretty close, but not there yet. It's not easy to implement, as I already mentioned, but we believe that in summer we will be ready for first projects to pilot it on real projects. I think the autonomous is still not fully, and many companies are trying to achieve that, but I don't believe that that's ready yet. And I believe we could change the world. We could build the tool, and for that we apply this visual testing regression bot, and we are happy to share it if you would be interested. So that's it from my talk and demo. I just noticed that a few of the things need to be improved and fixed. So sorry for some troubles in the demo, but I believe the point was taken from that. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are. And thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully there is somebody on the other side.
Hi, Marcel. Perfect. Thanks for the chat. Just I appreciate, obviously not everyone's always confident speaking. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I think obviously some great things mentioned there. One question from my side, Marcel. Obviously you mentioned that you've been doing automation testing for 20 years now. It's obviously took a while for it to kind of take over as such from manual testing way back when. So how quickly do you think autonomous testing could potentially be adopted? Like, when do you see this being the sort of major way of doing things?
For me, this is very exciting topic, and I believe it could be here in 3-5 years in some pretty interesting stage, but it might take even 10. So it's not easy to predict. But what motivates me is that this is something new, and this could help us a lot. And maybe I was not talking too much about that, but we said in the past that let's automate the boring stuff in testing. But now, when the automation matured, the automation itself becoming boring because you maintain what you already built, and you don't want to maintain that because you're just fixing it again and again because the application changed. So I believe this will help. So it's going back to your question, I believe in 5 years that'll be here. And according to the Gartner report, it'll be 1/3 of testing market will be using it in 2025. So they predict that it'll be much quicker than I believe it could be, the adoption speed or pace.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Is there any other questions from anyone? Anything in the chat that people want to sort of ask or raise?
Hi, so I have a question. I'm a junior tester here, so this is quite new to me. Really good presentation, by the way. My first question is, so this kind of autonomous testing, do you see this as maybe replacing automation and manual testing, or is it just there to kind of complement what already exists? And my second question is this something that would appeal to people that are non-technical, or is this mainly appealing to people that are maybe already writing automation scripts?
Great questions. So let me maybe first focus on the first. This is complementary approach, and it's very tiny in compared to manual and automation testing now. But in the future, it'll grow, and it'll replace the stupid activities we still do in testing. I believe that the same story like with automation, that it'll replace the most horrible things we need to do in testing by some machine which could do it quicker, more precisely, and maybe clear our hands from the activities we shouldn't do as a humans. And so it'll start tiny and it'll grow, and it'll replace some manual testing activities we still do, and it'll also replace some automation or complement the automation. So that's the first question, and I was trying to explain that via the stories, that sometimes we are extremely manual, sometimes we are extremely automating, and there is no good approach when it's taken into extreme. You need to somehow balance and adjust. But I believe this autonomous could help us. And I don't know, going back to that cleaning example, we have this autonomous vacuum cleaner, this Roomba, and we still have that traditional one, because you cannot do everything with that one autonomous tool. You need to have some other approaches how to clean up your house, and that same, maybe it's good metaphor for testing as well. And the second question, could you please help me to remind me what was the second question?
Yeah, sure. It was whether this autonomous kind of test approach would appeal to non-technical people, or is this more just for people that code and do automation testing currently?
This is the question we are asking ourselves. Who is the kind of ideal customer for us? And I believe this might be both, but at the beginning, it might be a bit technical. So the first stages will be more for kind of techies who would like to play with the new toys. But in long run, we are trying to build it. Maybe I'll reshare my first demo and code. I would like to build the bot in a way that I hope you can see. No, you can't still you can't see that. Can you see now? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So my ideal bot would like to have only one parameter, and that's it. And that would be this first line. I would like to have bot to provide only the application itself, whether it will be a link to the web page or it will be APK file to deploy it into mobile phone. But that would be my ideal bot. And even this one wouldn't be the config file, it would be some screen. So going back to your question, probably the end game or the ultimate autonomy would be that it's completely untechnical, non-technical. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the questions.
I think there was a couple more in the chat as well, Marcel. I don't know if you
Okay, let me see that.
I think there was 2 questions.
Okay. There is question from Jan. What are the main benefits? I believe the main benefits of this is that you do not need to maintain and you do not need to build. You do not need to build your test automation scripts or any scripts. So technically, if I compare it with the test automation, you basically do not need to automate. So you just start from the second when you have the application ready to be tested without any preparation. Or to be fair, I should say, you just need to do some training, which should be very quick. And we are now discussing how to make even this training autonomous. So we try to apply some reinforcement approaches from machine learning that the application, you will just provide some rules, how the application or the bot could assess whether it's good or not. And for the non-automation testers, this might be good for repetitive tasks you really don't like to do, and you don't need to learn technical stuff as well to automate. Okay, what's the next? From the mat, there is a, I presume it's need to have a state. Okay, so you need to baseline, or our current version, our current prototype, you need to always baseline what's good or what's pass and what's fail. That's the current prototype. In the future, what we are now building is that this will become more dynamic. So if you 3 times tell that this gallery is okay, even that 3 pictures change all the time, then we are trying to build a model that it will predict something like this failed with 80% of confidence, or this pass with certain amount of confidence. So that's the way how we are trying to build this autonomy into validation, if I get the question right. If not, please Matt, help me to reply properly, or to reply to your question if you meant it differently.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you, mate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all the questions.
Any other questions from anyone? Perfect. Well, I think that's it for the time being then, Marcel. Really appreciate that. It's good to get an idea of I guess, maybe how things will look in the future. And yeah, I think obviously there's some good questions there. So I hopefully speak for everyone when I say it was quite insightful as to, the pathway that testing might be laying out and find itself in further down the line.
Okay, thank you everyone to
Perfect.
coming. And if you have any question, just contact me via LinkedIn or via Chris, and have a nice evening.
Yeah, well, there's a message board as well on the chat and on the event. So if there are any follow-ups or anybody's thought of anything that they want to ask, feel free to pop it on the message board. Marcel's in there as well, so I'm sure he'll have visibility of that and be able to come back to anyone. So yeah, I think that concludes. And if Marcel, if you could stop on the recording for me as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm